What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the NFLduToilet Fantasy Football League. And my name is James, I'm the commissioner, and I'm here to bring you the current playoff standings, a little bit of playoff predictions, and kind of get some feedback on what the rest of the league is thinking here. So let's go ahead and jump in to our actual standings here. As you can see up here on the board, we've got Icky Shovelers, of course, the best team in the league. My team has been holding strong all season long. So we're in first place currently. You've got Steal Your Face Mask, which is Jim, new to the league this year, is in second place. Jim and I both have 8 wins. We are currently a lock to get into the playoffs. Of course, in third, we've got Bathtub Time Machine, which is Mike. Forever Kinding, Nick, who could be in a little bit of trouble the last 2 weeks. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And rounding out the top 6, we've got Hunter with Etienne Ass Season and Damien with Concussed for Loco. Of course, Turk Ferguson rides again and Sunshine State Sinners hanging right in there as well as Paul with Jimmy Go Fuck Yourself, which I'm assuming is towards me. And then How I Met Half Your Mother, Jay. And the only team really eliminated, Brian right there on the edge. I think it's going to be tough for him to go, but it looks like Chris is, Chris has been eliminated since week 7, I'm pretty sure. So let's jump into some of our predictions from the rest of the league. So you can see right here, we've got Hunter, Chris, and Paul believe that myself, Jim, Mike, Nick, Hunter, and Damien will make the playoffs. Brian believes myself, Jim, Mike, Paul, Hunter, and Jeff. The only one predicting that scenario right there, throwing in Paul and Jeff into the mix. You're going to see a lot of James, Jim, Mike, and Hunter throughout most of these predictions, I believe. James and Nick, we believe that it's going to be James, Jim, Mike, Jeff, Hunter, and Damien. A big matchup coming in week 14 between Damien and Nick could be the difference in the playoff, and Nick reluctantly told me he doesn't want to admit it, but kind of has to admit it, that is who he is most likely going to lose to and be eliminated from the playoffs because of that. We got a few more predictions here. We've got Mike believing that James, Jim, Mike, Nick, Hunter, and Jeff. Tony believes James, Jim, Mike, Nick, Hunter, and Tony. So he's throwing out the Jeff. A lot of people thinking that he's also throwing out Damien, believing Nick is going to hold on to that spot, and he's put himself in there, replacing Damien and Jeff. Of course, Jeff coming in the wild card here believes he's been, positioning himself for a deep playoff run, just doing exactly what he needs to get in, and he believes that's going to come to fruition right here at the end. He's got myself, Jim, Mike, Jeff, Hunter, and he's throwing in Tony. A little wrinkle there, kicking both Wisemans out. I find that a little bit interesting. Now, you can see some of the matchups already going on today, some key matchups. Jim and I are facing each other. I'm already off to a pretty solid lead in that, thanks to Christian Kirk and Saquon Barkley. I keep going back and forth between Devontae Smith. I left Devontae Smith on the bench, and he is killing it. And Garrett Wilson's just having, your average game there. So we'll see what happens. I'm fortunate enough to have 2 rookies, but that game is just kind of for seeding right there, so both teams are already locked in. An interesting matchup, we've got Concussed for Loco versus Etienne Ass Season. Both teams needing one more win to lock their spot in the playoffs. Right now, Damien is up 50-47 with big games from A.J. Brown and Donovan Peoples-Jones. He didn't leave anybody solid on the bench as of yet. Hunter's off to an average start. Kenny Pickett having a good game so far going into the half. And David Montgomery not looking too bad with Dameon Pierce as rookie. So it's really going to come down to Sky Moore, I think, whether he can get the points there. Damien really needs a big game from Alvin Kamara, and we'll see what they get between the Geo Smith versus Justin Herbert. Who would have thought those quarterbacks would be battling for some playoff points here in our fantasy league? You've got Turd Ferguson lighting it up against Nick right now. 31 points at the half by Jalen Hurts. 17 points from Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Freiermuth not having a bad game. Of course, Terry McLaurin doing well in there, of course. And then Mike White not the showing that he had last week. Only has barely over 100 yards and already an interception. Not good in our league with the -4 right there. Christian Watson having an okay game. So it looks like Jeff is off to a big start. Probably going to give Nick another loss, which is really going to force that do-or-die matchup next week between Nick and Damian. Paul against Tony. This is probably officially, I would say, an elimination game. Paul off to a good start with Justin Jefferson, having a decent game going into the half. Nobody big jumping off the board except for Cleveland's defense with a 17-point run right there at halftime. Let's check out their stats here. They've got 3 points allowed, interception, a return touchdown, 4 down stops, and the points allowed. That return touchdown is going to loom large over that. Looks right now, Paul is projected to win that match by about 40 points. So hopefully Tony's able to make a run if he expects to make the playoffs here. So that's kind of where we sit right now. Another elimination game. Big Mike versus Jay. Big Mike has a pretty good lead with Justin Fields. Stephon Diggs already having a good game. It doesn't look like Jay remembered to take Brandon Cooks out of the lineup. I know he's been super busy with his playoff run in high school football as he's a coach. So he's stumbled a little bit down the line here, had some injuries, made some very interesting trades that just didn't work out for him. So it looks like Jay is on his way to being knocked out of the playoffs today. But he is determined to not finish in last place. So Chris, be careful. If Jay doesn't get one of those top 2 buys, he is going to do everything he can not to come in last place. He's already messaged me, making sure that's his priority. It's kind of like Chris there. Chris probably on his way to another loss, playing Brian today. That game is kind of a moot point. Brian could run the table, get to 7 wins, and possibly sneak in there, but his points scored is really, really low, so it's going to be pretty tough. But another win against Chris. Chris has just had last year he just outscored constantly. This year, I believe everybody on his team has been injured at one point in the season. So we'll see what he does from there. Now, there's a little bit of controversy. I want to break this down a little bit. I've got a couple of things to drop out. If you notice, some of the predictions here don't include Damian, and of course, he's on the thumbnail if you guys had jumped in to look. So what is interesting is a couple of weeks ago, Jeff and Damian made a trade. Damian got bamboozled on it a little bit because he was super excited to get Josh Allen. Jeff waited until midnight, guaranteeing that the trade wouldn't process till Friday, which allowed Jeff to play Jeff Allen Thursday night during I believe Thanksgiving. Yeah. So Jeff was able to make this game. No, it was the game after Thanksgiving. So Jeff was able to play Josh Allen. Damian had to wait till all the way to the end of the week. Kind of had some laughs. And in this conversation, Damian let Jeff know that he wasn't so worried about the rest of the season because he was already a lock for the playoffs. Jeff seemed pretty confused. And come to find out, Damian believes that more than 6 teams make the playoffs. And you can see how excited he is as we talk about this video we'll release right here.
Okay, excuse the latex. Just got off the ice. Had a couple beers with the boys in the locker room, and here we go. James, congratulations. You got the best team so far. Yeah, whatever. Fuck off. Jim, good job staying conservative and not trading and sticking to your game plan. You'll be fine. Big Mike, what the... Yeah, boys, we let Big Mike in the playoffs. Stupid Josh Jacobs. Next, Nick. History repeats itself. Yeah, he'll be fine. Hunter, you'll beat me this week. Get out of the bubble. You'll be in the playoffs. And yes, I will be in the playoffs as well. Jeff, you got off your solid strategy, which was my strategy year in, year out, of 2 dominant quarterbacks. Traded me Josh Allen. You'll get there. We'll see about after. And drum roll, please. Last guy is Giffy! Solid trades lately. Giffy's rounding up. All right, that's my playoff, guys. Play it up.
So as you can see, just absolute chaos when it comes to Damian. So let's go ahead and jump into his predictions. He believes James, Jim, Mike, Nick, Hunter, Damian, Jeff, and Paul are going to get in That is 8 teams. Damian, I'm baffled here. We tried all week before I asked for predictions from everyone. We kept dropping the 6-pack of beer. I mean, Jeff made references to 8 and 6 for 7 days. I think there was a handful of guys in the league that knew, and then the more that kind of figured it out, we had to tell them not to tell you. And then I asked for predictions because me and Jeff kind of thought, hey, it'd be pretty funny if we all put predictions of 6 and Damian put 8. And I even said on the group chat, you don't have to send a video because we all know Damian gets annoyed that I asked for videos from you guys, which is why we haven't done too much throughout the season. But funny enough, everyone wrote their predictions to me individually, as you've seen, except for Damian, who decided to send a video, which made this whole thing even funnier. So Damian, thanks for the comic relief. But keep in mind, this game between Damian and Hunter is huge. Both teams sit at 7 wins right now. The game is going to come down to the wire. Right now, Hunter's predicted to win 149 to 143. Damian does have an edge right now, and I really believe it's going to come down to that Geno Smith versus Justin Herbert. We'll see what kind of points they put up. But that's going to be huge because it looks like Nick is on his way to a loss from Jeff, a substantial loss this week. So that's really going to loom large because that's probably going to put Damian and Nick versus each other for the 6th and final playoff spot next week. So brother versus brother, no love lost there, as we all know, unless they're singing karaoke. Well, guys, thank you so much for stopping by NFLduToilet. That is a playoff update. We've got 2 more weeks left in the season, and then we go into our playoffs. Top 2 teams get a bye. We'll check back in right before the playoffs start, give our predictions of who we think is going to win. That being said, have a great rest of the afternoon.